The entire world is talking about DeepSeek and how the powerful the latest reasoning model R1 is from DeepSeek. So why not let's build an application using DeepSeek's R1 latest LLM model. Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. I am Shabbir and we learn about a lot of different techs in this channel. We learn about Spring, Spring Boot, Kubernetes, AI, CI/CD pipeline and lot more. So if you are interested in such topics, then subscribe to this channel for getting latest updates. Now let's understand about building the AI application with DeepSeek model. As we have gone through multiple videos and multiple sessions of building AI application using different sets of LLM model, this is one more model for us to use to build the application. This particular model is a really good example of how good a reasoning can be by an LLM model. If we go through this LLM model, you can see that if you open deepseek.com, you will be treated with this page. And you can see that you can directly start with the DeepSeek APIs and the interaction. You can see that this is how the DeepSeek looks and you can start interacting with your DeepSeek model. Make sure that you enable this DeepSeek R1 here so that it will use the latest R1 model. So whatever you are going to ask to this model, it will try to reason it well and then it will answer it. So if we just ask explain infinity, then what it will do is it will try to think about it and it will also share the thought process what it is going through, and based on that thought process we will get a particular answer. Okay, so you can see that it is particularly thinking what is about infinity, and based on this thinking it will give the answer. So we have already seen in multiple videos, you can go through multiple YouTube channels as well, where you will find different videos describing the capabilities of R1 model, but here we will see about the application of the R1 model. So you can see that it is thinking a lot, right? And then you can see that you get the output about what was the thought process and how you get the answer to the particular prompt that you have given. Now with this, what we can do is we can implement this R1 model in our application. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a Spring Boot application with the help of Spring AI library to build our AI application. To do this, we have two things. We can directly use the API model, okay, API platform provided by DeepSeek. You can see that once you click here to the API platform, it will ask you to log in. Once you log in, you will be treated with this page. Here you can see that you have the amount, so you can add the amount to it, so that once you add the amount, you can start using the APIs. And once it is added, you can go to API keys to get your APIs as well. You can see that I have already created one API key. So you can create your own API key as well. You just click on create new API key, give the name and it will be created. That's it. Okay. And if you go to the docs, you will be able to get all the documentation as well, how you can use the APIs. This is something which is hosted by DeepSeek in their servers. Okay. Now, other thing you can do is you can use DeepSeek model in your local machine as well. Okay, so you can download this R1 model in your system and you can run that model locally and you can use it. So to do that, what you can do is you can install Ollama. So just search with Ollama. So you can see that this is the Ollama platform. Once you install this, you will be able to run any of the models. We have already created a dedicated video on this. You can watch that as well. I will pin that in the description below. So once you download Ollama, you can see that there are different LLM models provided. So if I go to models, you can see that the top comes, the most popular is the DeepSeek R1. Okay. Now if you go to DeepSeek R1 as well, you can see different sets of models available for DeepSeek as well. You can use any of the models. So two ways to create the application. One is directly using the API provided by DeepSeek, and the second one, installing or running the DeepSeek R1 model locally into your machine. We are going to do both the things today. So let's create the Spring Boot application. So what we will do is we will go to the start.spring.io to create a Spring Boot application which will help to create the AI application for DeepSeek. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the main project, language is Java, Spring Boot version is 3.4.2 latest version, and group information I'm going to give is Daily Code Buffer. Artifact I'm going to give is DeepSeek AI, and description packaging is jar, and Java version is 21. Okay. And in the dependencies, I'm going to add the web dependency because I want to create a web application. And what I will do is, as I want to run my LLM model locally with the help of Ollama, I will add the Ollama dependency so it can connect to Ollama models. Okay, so DeepSeek will be running with my Ollama in my local machine. That's one thing. Also, I want to run the APIs directly as well. Okay, I want to execute DeepSeek API from my Spring Boot application. So for that, what Spring AI has provided is with the help of OpenAI dependency. You can see that OpenAI dependency, we can just configure the DeepSeek models and DeepSeek URL instead of OpenAI, so it will connect to DeepSeek. Okay, that's what we have to change. So I have just added 2 dependency. That's it. I will generate the project and open in IntelliJ IDEA. So here you can see that I have opened the DeepSeek AI application, Spring Boot application, which we have just created. Now what we have to do is we have to configure this application to use the DeepSeek API. So for that, what we will do is we will go to the browser, we will go to the DeepSeek platform here, and first thing what we need is we need this key. So we will generate this key and we will keep this key handy so that we can use in our application. So let's do this. Okay, we have already generated the key. You can generate from here. The next thing is currently you can see that due to current resource constraints, they are not allowing us to add the balance so that we can use the API. Once this restrictions is lifted, we will be able to add the balance and we can use the API. But this does not affect us because we will be implementing, though it will fail with the billing information, but we will still be able to connect to these APIs. Once that is done, you can just go to documentation. This will open and here you can see that you will get the complete documentation how to use it. One thing we need is a base URL. This is a base URL that we need, and the API key. API key is something that we have already generated. 2 things. Now we need to configure. So let's configure. There are 3 properties that we generally configure to use our OpenAI models. The same thing we will do here as well. So let's add the configuration for that. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDEA and let's go to the src main resources and application.properties, and here is something we will add the configuration. Okay, here you can see that these are the 3 keys that I have added, that is spring.ai.openai.api key. This is the API key that I'm going to add, and spring.ai.openai.base URL. This is the base URL that we have got from here. This is the base URL that we have added, and the model DeepSeek Reasoner. This is the R1 model. If you want to go and learn about the models, you can go to models and pricing, and here you can see that the different models are available. One is DeepSeek Chat and one is DeepSeek Reasoner. This is the one that we have added, and you can see the pricing information of each of the different models. Okay, so that's the information that we have added. That's it. Now this is the one thing where I want to build my application using the DeepSeek's API provided. The other one was to run the DeepSeek R1 model locally. So to do that, what we will do is we'll go to the Ollama. As we have installed Ollama, you can go to terminal, and once the Ollama is installed, just run the command Ollama and you will get this information once Ollama is installed. Okay, it's just a binary you can install in your Windows machine or Mac, whatever you are using. Okay, once this is installed, you will get this information, and then what you can do is you can go to the Ollama website, search with the DeepSeek R1 model. You will get this information. You can see there are different versions of DeepSeek R1, 1.5B, 7B, 8B, and so on. And with all the different versions, you can see the size of their particular model as well. The better the size, the more data it has been trained on, and you will get the better accuracy of the output. And the more powerful the model that you use, the more power resources will also be required to run that model. Currently, I do not have such powerful machine. So what I will do is I will use this 1.5B model, which is just using 1.1 GB of storage, and it will also use very less resources in my machine. Okay, once I have selected, you can see that it will give the command Ollama run DeepSeek R1 1.5B. This is the command that will be used to install or run or download the model and run in my machine. Okay, so I'll go back here and I will run this command. So it should download it and it should run in my local. So we'll wait for it to complete and then we will start working on it. So here you can see that it has downloaded the model for us. Okay, everything is successful and it has also started the model. And now you can see that I can directly interact with the model here. I can directly ask explain infinity. It should give me a reasonable answer for the infinity. So you can see that it is thinking and it will give the answer. You can see that it was thinking and it gave the answer for infinity. Okay, so now you can see that I'm able to interact with the R1 model running in my machine. Okay, now the same thing I want to connect with my Spring Boot application. So for that we need to configure our Spring Boot application. So let's go and do that. We'll go to the IntelliJ IDEA, and here you can see that these are the configuration to use the OpenAI chat model. Okay, because we have added the OpenAI chat dependency. Okay, and we have also added the Ollama. So for Ollama we need to configure. So let's do the same configuration for Ollama. So now you can see that this is the configuration that I'm adding for Ollama, which is Spring AI Ollama chat model equals to DeepSeek R1 1.5b. Now by default, as my application and my model is running on the same system, it will be directly able to connect because of the Spring Boot's auto configuration. Okay, so that's why I do not have to do anything here. Now the only thing is, you can see my application now has configured for two chat models. One is OpenAI's chat model and one is Ollama, that is DeepSeek's chat model running locally. Two things. So now I have to tell Spring that, okay, you do not configure the chat model by your own. We will configure it from ourselves. So let's add that configuration as well. So here I'm providing the configuration that Spring AI chat client enable equals to false. So by default, Spring will not create the chat client for us. It will be taken care of by us. So what we will do is, we will go to Java and we will create a configuration to have two clients. So let's create a config class, config.configuration, and I'll say LLM config. Okay, now this class I will annotate with @configuration, so I can add the configuration. So now what I will do is, I'll create two beans, okay, for my chat client. One that is using OpenAI chat client and one that is using Ollama chat client. Okay, Ollama chat client is your DeepSeek LLM running locally, and OpenAI is DeepSeek LLM model running on the server of DeepSeek. That is what we are connecting to. Okay, so now what I can do is, I can just say public chat client. You can see that this chat client is coming from the OpenAI chat client, and here I can say OpenAI chat client. Okay, and I'm going to annotate with @bean because I'm creating a bean out of it, and here I will inject OpenAI chat model. Okay, now with the help of chat client, I can say chat client dot create using the model provided. Okay, so now you can see that I'm creating a chat client object with the OpenAI chat model. One thing, now I will copy the same thing. I'll create another bean. Instead of OpenAI chat client, I'll pass Ollama chat client. Sorry, Ollama chat model. And now with this model, I'm creating the chat client which will be interacting with the Ollama's chat model. So now you can see that I have two beans, two separate beans to do separate work. Okay, now let's create the APIs to interact with these chat models. So for that, what I will do is, I'll create a controller and I will say as a DeepSeek controller. Okay, now this class I'll annotate with REST controller to make it a REST controller, and here what I need the object of chat client. So I'll define private final chat client. Okay, and I will inject using the constructor here. Now as I have two chat client, it will throw an exception that which one to use, right? As there is a two bean of the same chat client, so I need to tell that, okay, I want to use this one. So I'll define that I want to use OpenAI chat client. So I'll go here and annotate with @qualifier to define my particular bean. Okay, now I can say create a get method, public string as a chat method. Okay, which is get mapping, and I will name the API as DeepSeek / I will take the reference, whatever the query or whatever the prompt that I'm giving. Okay, let me rename to chat, and here I will take path variable as the input and string m. Simple thing. Okay, now I can just say return chat client dot prompt dot user message. As a prompt, I want to pass a user prompt dot call dot content. That's it. You can see that this is my entire LLM API call. Now this will be invoked by OpenAI chat client, which is configured to use the OpenAI chat model, which is configured to use this configuration, that it will be using this base API, this model, and this is the API key. Now this API key has been not set. What I will do is I will set this API key in the environment variable. So for that, what I'll do is let me run this application. Okay, and let me copy this key. I'll go to the configuration and add the key. So I'll go here in the environment variable, I'll add the configuration. Okay, and I'll add the value as well. Okay, now if I run my application, there is some issue. Let's check what's the issue. Okay, so the issue is using the method name. So here you can see that both have the same method. So what I will do is I will just say Ollama chat client. Okay, now if I run this, it should work. Now you can see that my application is started. Okay, now if I go to my browser and if I run the API, that is localhost 8080/DeepSeek what is infinity, and here you can see that we got the error. Now what error we got? We got the error that insufficient balance. Okay, as we talked about earlier, that currently you can see that DeepSeek is not allowing to add the funds here. Okay, so that's why we are not able to add the fund, but you can see that it was able to connect, it was able to check that there is no fund, so that our communication is completely successful. So once this temporary restrictions is been removed, we will be able to add fund and our API should be able to work as well. So that entire communication with the DeepSeek's API is completely working. We should be able to use it once this restrictions is up. Because of heavy load, this restrictions has been added. Okay, so that's the only thing, but this will not block us to run the DeepSeek model locally. So let's use that one. As we have already installed DeepSeek locally and we were able to use that as well, let's configure to have it run locally. So what I will do is, so as we have created one controller that was running the DeepSeek API, we will create one more for local. So I'll create a new controller and I'll just say DeepSeek local. Okay, and I'm going to create this as a REST controller, and what I will do is I will copy paste this. Okay, because that's the same thing I want to use. So let me just copy paste the code. Okay, I will just copy this, and instead of OpenAI chat client, I want to use Ollama chat client. So I will replace this, and I want chat client as well. So I'll just define private final chat client. Okay, and here you can see that the code would remain the same. The only thing I can change is the API. So let me just change the API here, and that's it. You can see that my entire controller has been created, and I will be able to call this Ollama chat client, which is running locally and which is running my DeepSeek R1 model. So let's restart this application and we should be able to use this one. So you can see that now my application is started. So what I will do is I'll go to the browser again, and instead of DeepSeek, I'll just mention DeepSeek local, and this should give me what is infinity. The processing will take time based on the resource limit that we have. As I do not have such powerful, we are getting time to load the resources, but you can see that we are getting the resource that it was able to answer our question. So whatever you are going to ask now, it will ask the LLM running locally and we will get the output from it. Okay, so as I'm running a very less powerful model, that is the 1.5B, and which does not have a lot of data and it's not trained on a lot of data, it may not give you accurate information, but it will still help us to learn and build the applications from here. Okay, so you can see this is how we can create an AI application with the help of DeepSeek. Either you're going to use the DeepSeek API or you can run the DeepSeek R1 model locally. The advantage is that DeepSeek will be able to think more out loud about the reasoning, about the prompt that you have asked, and you will get a better result out of it. And the benchmark has already been tested by multiple creators, so you can go through those channels and you can understand about it. But this is how we're going to create the application with the help of DeepSeek. We saw two different ways to do the same thing. If you have any doubts regarding any of the things that we have covered, then do let me know in the comment section below. I will put this code in the GitHub repository and add the link in the description below for you to check out. You can always check out and create a really awesome Spring Boot application with the help of AI. With that said, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. You can also click on join button to support my channel. That's been it. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.